Hello, welcome to another episode of Roots of Success. I'm your host, Tommy Cole, and we've got an awesome episode because I got my good friend, Rob Shrieve. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Tommy.
Rob is an outstanding guy. It's outstanding family. He is the owner of Coastal Shores in the Bluffton, South Carolina. Did I say that right? Bluffton?
That's correct.
Let's go a little bigger. Hilton Head area, South Carolina. I'm sure
right.
everyone knows where Hilton Head is. So there you go. He's the owner of Coastal Shores, an awesome company there. And we've been together for multiple years in peer groups, and it's good to have him on. I have seen him progress extensively over the course of many years, and here we are today. Rob, so tell us about your company and how it got started. Tell me, what the heck were you thinking getting in the landscape world? You probably thought it was extremely easy, mow some grass, put in some few bushes, call it a day. And then what's Coastal Shores about today?
Okay, well, I didn't really have a desire to be in the landscape business, if I'm being completely honest. My wife and I went to college at Ball State University up in Indiana. Shortly after graduation, we moved down to South Carolina in 2002. No real reason. We were just young and dumb and wanted to live close to the ocean. So that's what we did. And she had a job in property management, so she went right into that. I did not have a job. I actually took a job. This will age me a little bit, but I was door-to-door cold call sales for copiers and fax machines.
Let's go. Yours about it. Yeah, that's like Yellow Pages almost. You go door-to-door and Yellow Pages selling?
It was rough. I had to wear a suit every day and literally walk up and down the streets going into law offices, doctors' offices, and I was miserable. And one afternoon, I think my wife and her mom and dad were having lunch, and they could sense that I was about at the end of things as far as that career goes. So my wife just said, I don't know what you want to do, but you can't continue to do this because you're miserable. Until you figure it out, why don't you cut the grass at these 5 properties that I manage? I said, fine. So I quit the job. I had a push mower, a weed eater, and a handheld blower. I folded down the seats in my Ford Explorer, and off I went.
A Ford Explorer and just get after it. So loading the mower into the back, of the SUV.
That's how it all happened. And my, they said, just do this until you figure out what you want to do. So I kind of jokingly, say I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're at 22 years later.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. So tell me about Coastal Shores. What's it all about?
The Coastal Shores now, we have grown up as our community has grown up. Bluffton used to be the little town that you would just happen to kind of drive through on your way to Hilton Head. And like a lot of these coastal communities, it's just exploded with, especially during COVID, people coming down from the north, a lot of growth. So we've kind of grown up with the community. We had to really quickly try to define our client because there were so many different opportunities here. You just run yourself crazy trying to figure it out. So we service high-end residential, commercial, and development properties. And we're doing complete maintenance. We're doing new installation, and then, of course, enhancement on all of that. So we work in a lot of amazing communities, multi-million-dollar homes and properties. So it's a lot of fun. And we've slowed down a little bit over the last couple of years. So we tend to always be kind of the last one to be affected by the economy and the first one to recover from it. So thankfully, we don't feel the real impacts of that a ton. Our business is fairly reliant on new construction. That kind of triggers everything else. So when new construction has a little dip or a little slowdown, we feel that. Usually not for very long, but that's kind of how it works. So yeah, we're 35 employees right now. We're building a new building right now. It's been a long time coming, so we're excited to get to move in that. And honestly, we're just, like I discussed, we're in that transition period where we're making a big jump here, and there's a big commitment as far as personnel, trucks, trailers, software, all that kind of stuff. So basically, we're kind of paying our dues right now to take the next job.
Slightly different than loading a mower into a Ford Explorer.
It's a little bit different than that. Yes. Yes.
Love it. Okay, Rob, one of my most favorite things, you and I have talked about this a lot of times. We did a little video while I was at your place. By the way, for our audience that's listening in, Rob probably has the smallest office and the smallest shop known to man. And for some reason, he has become the most amazing person to figure out how to utilize every square inch of that office. And you're bursting out the seams.
Definitely are.
Probably upsetting a lot of your neighbors just with trucks in and out and parking and all that. But you figured it out, and you've grown at multiple millions of dollars each year to get to where. So kudos to that hope from a start. But one of the things that sets you apart is training. And it's not on a rainy day, Rob. It's not when you feel like there's an injury or you feel like you need to train. This is something that happens all the time. It's consistent.
Yeah.
I believe in consistent training to elevate your team. Tell me about why was there a need to implement something like that? And then what is this system that you've built so far?
Yeah. So, well, we first started it was Zach and I we actually found a picture of our first training, and it was we were in our warehouse, a bunch of dudes sitting on mowers, guys smoking cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Zach and I looked at each other like, what are we doing here? What is happening? So, but we stuck with it. For some reason, we stuck with it. And every week at 7:00 on Wednesdays, we just kept showing up. And through the years, we formalized it more and more and more. And then as our core values and culture and vision have become more important to us, and not just something we say, but something we do, we've used our training to really cultivate the core values and the vision and so forth. We like to say our core values are kind of like the seeds, and our training is water, and what grows is the culture. So our training we've developed over the years, we call it SALT. And SALT is an acronym for sales and safety, and then application, life, and team. And we have a 52-week-a-year calendar that we sit down, and we have an intentional meeting October of the previous year. We talk about what went well this year. We talk about what we want to add next year. And we literally fill in the blanks for every Wednesday morning for the whole year. We have a lot of guest speakers come in. That's something people get sick of hearing me going on and on about stuff. So honestly, I probably speak at maybe 6 a year. I do some general announcements or whatever, but as far as me leading the training, we brought in a lot of community leaders, lots of friends of mine who own companies and different things like that. And that's been very impactful for the team. We've actually gone into the communities that some of our team live in, kind of on the outskirts of our area. And we've, made connections with leaders in their communities and brought them into our training to speak to our team. So the outside speakers has been a big thing for us. But just going through like the safety and the sales, we're training on safety. We're training, and the sales aspect is more just trying to convince or train our team that they're the experts. Become a trusted resource to the clients you're servicing. And on the back end of that, you're also going to be a salesman out there in the field. So we're trying to create everybody in the company is a salesperson. And then the application is the actual boots on the ground, how you fertilize, how you prune, how you identify certain things. So that's the real in the field, this is what we're doing kind of thing. And then the life is usually when we have like the guest speakers come in and we talk about just real stuff, marriage, kids, finances, you name it. We're going pretty deep on it. And we've gotten comfortable being uncomfortable, frankly. And it's made a big impact. I mean, sometimes you don't feel like you're making much of an impact. And then you get that one text or that one email, or somebody pulls you aside and they tell you what a difference it's made with their family because they did something they heard in training. And I mean, that makes it all worthwhile and you want to keep going. So, and then the T, those are our team days. We celebrate anniversaries, we celebrate birthdays. What we started doing this year is we break out into small groups. So one member of each of the leadership team takes two or three guys and kind of just breaks off. And we have a conversation around maybe a book or whatever. And that's been really good just to get one-on-one, a little more one-on-one with the guys. It gives the guys an opportunity to maybe speak to somebody on leadership that they normally wouldn't get to speak to. So, and then 4 times a year when there's a 5th Wednesday of the month is when we have our all-team celebrations. And that's just the barbecues, the bounce houses, games, prizes, whatever it might be. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Wow. This is amazing. I love it. Gosh, I love this. You know how much I love it because I've told you this 100 times, but it's clearly defined. It's 7 a.m. every single Wednesday. No choice, no nothing. It's 52 weeks a year. End of story. That's how you get better. And quite honestly, people want structure and they want to learn, right?
Yes.
I feel like, would you agree it was probably awkward at first sitting around a bunch of mowers and you don't really know how this is going to work, or you probably wanted to give up at some point multiple times going, what's the worthless? But now your ROI is exponential, right? Because when I look on social media and I see these guys, these men and women out there that are just celebrating and have a good time and training and learning, they enjoy it. They want more of this. And if you were to stop, they would be pissed.
Yes, I agree. I mean, they come in with an expectation now, an expectation to have a good time, because we do. We have an icebreaker game every week. My wife, Jessie, leads the icebreaker at 6:50, and there's always a prize, and there's always snacks and drinks. So they usually get there as close to 6:50 as possible because they don't want to miss that out. And then that sets us up to start right at 7 o'clock and be off and running. And another thing we started doing last year as part of it took the place of one of our old teams is we were doing a family party. So that's wives, kids, whatever. We do it at our house. We had bounce houses, games, all kinds. Everybody got a shirt. Yeah. And just the stories that came out of that. And you can start to see that it means a lot to these families that like their husband or whatever or father works for us. And you really start to hear kind of the impact that our training's making, work. Yes, great. We're teaching them how to be landscapers. So more importantly, they're really learning to be better husbands and fathers and community members.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your post about the swimming and the slides and the games and the activities, the swag gear, the bonding that you guys did at that party. That's what means a lot. I am a huge fan of training, and as long as it's consistent and you're always talking about a topic, what I love most about you is that you got this thing called life skills. Man, gosh, I wish I had that. My son's taking a life skills class this year, and it's pretty cool for him to see like financial, attitude, marriage, you name it, mortgages, money, everything, survivability, change a flat tire.
Yeah.
Those are real life things which is great, is that it's more than just the paycheck at Coastal Shores. Yeah. Right. And they get a little bit extra and they want more and more and more of that. And it's not just a pay, but it's been the experience and learning along the way. Love it.
Yeah. So we even about 2 years ago or so, we decided that we were no longer going to do paper paychecks. Okay, fine. Of course, the big kickback was a lot of our guys, they didn't have checking, they didn't have accounts. They just went and cashed their checks and had the money. So we mandated checking accounts, and we did a little training about checking accounts and savings accounts. We brought in our banker to talk to it. And then afterwards, we encouraged the team to stick around, meet with our bank, sign up for a checking account, and we put $100 in whoever's account that they signed up for a checking account that day. So cool. Now 100% of the people that work for us have bank accounts.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Great stuff. Career path for the field staff.
Yeah.
You've worked some time on this. We've had it in a lot of our meetings in the last years. That took some time to invent and create. That's
Yes.
always a sensitive subject when you're saying, all right, crew member versus, a crew leader. What if some crew member makes more or less? What if someone has a driver's license or not? What if someone looks at it from the maintenance side versus the install side where pay could be different?
Yeah.
I feel like you fought that at first for a while. We're like, what? I don't understand a
Yeah.
little bit, but once you started to understand how that could impact your team, tell us a story about the success of creating a career path for your field staff.
Yeah. It's an ongoing thing, frankly, and it is hard because you build this thing out, and it's very difficult to implement because you have, to your point, you have team leaders that technically, as far as your new career paths go, might not qualify to be a team leader. Or you might have a second guy getting paid like a team leader, that kind of stuff. So we were having meeting after meeting after meeting about all these different scenarios, if this, then this, and all this. And I finally just said enough, start. We're just starting. And it's going to be difficult. We're going to find out some stuff we screwed up, but we just got to start. Because if we don't, it's never going to happen because we're always going to have an excuse why this thing's not perfect.
Yeah.
So we finally, we're rolling this thing out. There's some challenges, but we're defining some careers now. Because I got sick and tired of these guys just, we started having these quarterly one-on-ones with our field team, and a lot of the conversation was around that basically the landscaping was just getting them to what they ultimately want to do. I want to do landscaping until I can afford to be an electrician, or I want to do landscaping until I go to my CDL. Because they didn't consider landscaping a career. They just considered it a job that could sustain them until they could hopefully do whatever they wanted to do. So our biggest, I guess, the vision of this whole thing is to paint the picture where you can become a landscaper and it can become a career. And you don't have to move into leadership or move into the office for it to be a career. Here, you can be a landscape professional, have a career at it, and always be in the field.
Yeah.
And make a good living.
So how did you paint the picture?
So we're in the process. We're still in the process. We're making signage. We love banners. And my daughter Liz. She's very creative. So we have created study guides, literally printed study guides, and they have all the material in there and all the criteria that it takes to be a Tech 1, a Tech 2, a Tech 3, a landscape professional, and beyond. So how we decided to implement it, though, is we basically said, all right, everybody's a Tech 1. We don't care how much you make. We don't care if you're a team lead, or everybody's a Tech 1. You're still a team lead. You're still making what you're making, but everybody's a Tech 1 because we want everybody testing out of Tech 1 into Tech 2.
Gotcha.
And so forth. And, there's a challenge in that because team leads, we want to fast track them and get them up. Well, some of them are dragging their feet. So we're having to figure out how to address that. But we're just figuring it out as we go. The study guides are pretty cool. I should share them with you. And we made it very simple. I mean, this is a picture of a palm tree. I felt like match the palm tree, draw a line or whatever. So irrigation parts. We worked in our, part of going from a Tech 1 to a Tech 2 is creating a family budget. So there's in there literally identifying what a spade shovel is to what a drip emitter is to creating a family budget. I mean, so that's how these career paths are really tied back to our training and to our core values. So it all kind of really starts to snowball. And frankly, we have a fireman that works for us, and this is very similar to what the fire department does. And it makes promotion, it's not personal anymore. I want to check these 6 boxes for you, because if I can check these 6 boxes for you, I can give you $2 more an hour. Yep. Go do it. And then I can give you, it's very black and white. So I'm not giving you a raise because I like you, and I'm not giving you a raise because I don't like you. I just need you to do these things. So
has there been pushback
No, like I said, we're just getting this thing rolling.
Good.
It's taken longer than we expected, but everything kind of does. Like I said the only real pushback is just people sometimes can't get past titles, but there was really no other way to do it. We don't want to just declare somebody a Tech 3 without them showing us they have the skills to do that. So far, we're working through those deals. We might lose a couple people through this whole thing. And if we do, it's just part of it.
My recommendation when you're starting a career path, step one is you have to define each role in your organization.
Yeah.
And that's wherever anything is. You have to define that. If you don't have defined roles, then what's a path? What's the ladder? It doesn't make any sense, because if you're a crew leader and you don't have a specific role, then what gauges me that I'm a tech 1, 2, 3 professional, right? You name it, whatever. So you have to kind of like, before you take a forward step, you got to take 2 back.
Yeah.
And clearly define everything, and then move forward painfully forward, right? Because should have done this years ago. What was I thinking?
Right.
But maybe you should have, in the Ford Explorer, had a career path built as you're loading up the mower.
Yeah. Back in those days, I was just trying to figure out how long I was going to have to do this.
Yes.
But I also tell you, the guys who are really embracing it love it. Like, we have a young kid working for us right now who just is awesome. And he literally has declared that he wants to be the youngest crew leader in the history of Coastal Shores.
Love it.
Cool. Here's how you do it.
Yep.
And those are the kind of people we want. This kid just kind of came out of high school. He has the opportunity to do whatever he wants to with us. Yeah. The sky's the limit, honestly. So, and also it gives us the opportunity, to your point, when we have these defined roles, we can look at our org chart, we can look at our growth, and we can say, you know what, we're going to need another team leader next year. And we can announce that to the team and say, hey, all you Tech 2 guys, we're going to need to promote one of you to team lead. Who's going to step up and do it? It's been difficult, challenging, but we're getting through it. And I think it's going to be a really amazing thing once we really get going on it.
Yeah, that's good. Rob, one of the things I've watched you over the years in this peer group and travel and learning from others, the one thing that stands out that you than a lot of people is what they call get shit done.
Yeah.
You're the master of it. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, landscapers overthink everything. They sort of find a reason why they shouldn't. On accountability calls, you ask good questions, you implement, and every time we meet 3 times a year, you're always saying, we did this, we started it. You've not finished some things, which is totally okay because you're figuring things out. You've mentioned before, earlier in this, that you just got to get started. What makes you so far successful in just getting stuff done? Like, why do you do that? And what's the advantage?
Well, one, this is an investment. I mean, I want a return on my investment. These are not just, we have a good time when we're traveling all over the country together and have some great dinners and conversation and whatever else. But at the end of the day, it's a business trip and it's an investment, and I want to bring something home. Secondly, if it was just up to me, I don't know how much stuff would get done. So, I started from the beginning. My team, my leadership team, is invested in ACE peer groups almost as much as I am. They want to know where I'm going, what I've seen. Hey, send pictures while you're gone. What's going on? And then as soon as I get back, we have a debrief meeting, and I kind of just dump everything out there, and everybody just kind of listens for a while. And then Liz, she's my daughter, but she's also what we call a director of culture and implementation. So she kind of oversees and drives this stuff getting done. And we really drive it by assigning ownership and then assigning action items. And we don't try to do 100 different things, even though I might come home with 100 different ideas. We'll kind of pick through our debrief discussion. Typically, a half dozen of them kind of come to the surface, and then we'll assign some ownership to that. We'll assign some action items, and then the process begins of developing that item. So I just got a reminder from Liz this week that to leadership, go back and review your action items from our last debrief. Where are we at? So it's just that continual, it's assigning ownership, action items, and then accountability. As far as leadership goes, we know that we assign this thing to this person and this is their timeline. And next time we sit down, we're going to ask them about it, ask them how it's going and that kind of stuff. So, but the bottom, like I said, being in a peer group, there's so many amazing people, businesses, ideas. It would just be a shame just to come home with nothing to share, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'd tell you, Rob, another thing that's fascinating that sort of just popped in my head, and maybe this is how you interpret things. You're one of the one people that I've witnessed over years that really takes a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
What's the advantage of taking notes? You always travel with an iPad. You're always taking notes. And when you travel, it's notes in general. It could be someone is speaking in a room. You could be listening to a podcast or a show or YouTube and you're taking notes. You can listen to other peer group members talk about their update and you're still taking notes. You're taking notes when people are speaking and then you compile that stuff and get it back. Like, what makes that an advantage for you?
Well, one, I'm just kind of OCD like that, but and I don't have a great memory. So,
well, most don't. We're landscapers, by the way. We're not a rocket ship to go to space. So I have to take a lot of notes too.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you mentioned the updates. Well, the guys in our group, they're friends of mine, and I care about what's going on. So I want to know that Chris said this and Tommy said this or whatever it might be. So later we're out to dinner. Hey, you mentioned this in your update. Yeah. I mean, hear more about that or whatever. Yeah. So, but when I'm on a peer group visit, I'm continually kind of first thing in the morning, end of the day, I'm just kind of filtering through those notes. And then at the top, I always kind of I'll copy and paste. I'll just pull stuff up. And that's kind of my big takeaways up there. Yeah. And that's really what comes home with me. And those big takeaways fuel the peer group debrief meeting that we have.
Yeah. And what's great is that, whatever the costs are per month, your entire team is getting a takeaway from this thing. Yes, you're the one showing up, right? Your wife, Jesse's always there too, showing up, once a year at a summit. But they're like, give me more. Yeah. What happened? How did it go? How was the site visit? What'd you see, right?
Yeah.
That comes from a good leader. And when a good leader can come back and do a debrief to the team and then take action items and run with it, no wonder you're getting stuff done.
Yeah. I just want to feel like, that they're invested in this thing too. And I mean, like I said, when I'm on a site visit, I'm always pretty intentional about sending some pictures back to the team or just any kind of tidbit that I hear. Sometimes I'll say, hey, I'm going to go visit this landscape company. I'll send a link to their website. Let me know anything you guys are thinking about that you want me to try to find out or take a picture of or whatever. So even though I'm the one there, they're still kind of participating remotely.
Yeah, that's great. Rob, what kind of advice would you give anyone out there that listen, this is what I, during the tough times of building a business, during, you coaching your middle managers, coaching crew guys, crew women, you name it. What's something that is it a certain book? Is it a quote? Is it something just hard work pays off? What is it?
Well, I think sometimes you got to be, even in the peer groups, we go to a lot of amazing companies doing amazing things, amazing facilities, millions and millions of dollars. And it's easy to kind of say, well, if I would ever be that big of a company or whatever, I could do X. Or I can't do X until I'm that big. And, I would argue that you're never going to be that company unless you start doing this. You have to start before you become whatever that company might be. My first grow was at Melosi, and it was like eye-opening to me because it literally was like, holy cow, there's the business that I've had in my vision right in front of me.
Torrential downpour, freezing cold weather.
Yeah. So, but earlier you mentioned, humility. I could have gone into that like, oh, well, these guys are this or that or whatever, but I literally just kind of absorbed it. Like, they have painted the picture of what I envision our company being. So I think again, we keep saying it, just start. You don't have to be a certain size to start training. You don't have to be a certain size to have a vision and live out core values. You don't have to be a certain size to love on your team well. Those things are all the ingredients to become whatever your vision for your company is. And if your vision for your company is to stay the same exact size it is, I still believe you need to do all these things to maintain that and to have a healthy, company at any size.
Love it. That's great stuff. So here we go. I took a bunch of notes. As you can see, I'm a big note taker, is just like you. I put this in a file. I actually do debrief these every one of these episodes I debrief. So after this is over, I'm going to debrief. But some takeaways, the famous Tommy takeaways. Here we go. Training. God, I love training. When you said 52 weeks, I want to give you the biggest hug through the screen. 52-week training, 7 a.m. on Wednesdays. It's SALT. It's sales, safety, application, life, and team. I mean, training equals core values, water the seeds. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, and don't stop. I just can't get enough for that. Career path, once again, just start it. You got to start somewhere, but probably define the roles, understand what that is. I love the family budgets. I love the spade shovels and how to do a 5-gallon shrub and how to mulch, pine straw, how to, power wash, and you name it. All those great things. The master of getting things done. I'd say get shit done at the end of the day, because that's my favorite quote. But first off, you got a leadership team that wants to get stuff done.
Yeah.
You got to debrief when you come back from an event. It could be whatever. It could be a vacation. It could be anything. You come back, grow, peer groups, conferences, everything. But the most important things of getting things done is assign an owner and create action items and check them off the box and move on. It's not that hard. We just overcomplicate everything. Last but not least, just start. I wrote just do it, the Nike logo, right? Just start, just do it. And it's not going to be perfect. You're going to laugh in your face. People are going to make fun of you. You might get some awkward moments, but you got to start and you got to keep going. You got to just improvise along the way.
That's right.
Any last minute bits of information, Rob?
No, I really appreciate you, Jason, and the whole McFarland team, and it's just been amazing. I think we're on year 3 now or so, it's been awesome. Looking forward to seeing you all in September.
Absolutely. Rob Shrieve, it's a pleasure with Coastal Shores out of Hilton Head, South Carolina area. It's been a pleasure. You're a rock star. I appreciate you taking the time and your busy schedule to share some inside information with us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll see you.